Welcome to the podcast. Happy Thanksgiving weekend, Black Friday weekend before Advent starts. It's the Feast of Christ the King today. If you're a Catholic, welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Devin AT. You can find me online at KnittyMcPurly.com. I am Knitty McPurly on Instagram. And if you want to email me, I am Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Although I got to tell you, you guys, I am so bad at email. I found an email in my inbox today from a lovely knitter named Carol who wrote to me back in September, and I responded to her today, and I was like, I am so sorry that this response is like 3 months late. So sometimes I do that, and I never mean to hurt anyone's feelings. It's just sometimes someone has written me such a wonderful email that I want to respond when I have time to give it their proper attention, and sometimes that's 3 months later. And even then, it's going to be a poor response. But I am drinking today out of my New Orleans cup. Look at how cute this cup is. Isn't it so cute? Thank you so much, Marie, for sending me this. I love it. Drinking tea this morning. I'm pretty much done drinking coffee by 9 in the morning. When you get up early, you caffeinate early, and then you're kind of done. But I'm a huge tea fan, so. All Americans, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. I really did. I had a crazy busy weekend, but Thanksgiving was really great. So it is the last day today of the Knitty McPurly Black Friday sale, although maybe I'll extend it till tomorrow. I think I should extend it till tomorrow, Cyber Monday. I'm officially gonna extend it to tomorrow, okay? Let's get right into the progress and shop news, because I'd say the biggest piece of information is the sale. There is a site-wide sale, 15% off. Note to self, I need to make that code go through tomorrow. The code is KMP, Knitty McPurly, KMP, BF, Black Friday 15. So enter that code and it will give you 15% off of your entire order, patterns, yarn, everything. And that's off of the sale price too. So some things are in the sale tab. If you click there, you can see what is marked down, and then the 15% will come off of the sale price. So it's a good deal. I dropped the prices on a few things in there. There is still sale yarn. I think I might have dropped the price on that a little bit too, but there is yarn that's sale yarn. The Shopiversary sets are marked way, way down. I have a couple of those left. I brought a few to show you. These are the fingering weight, and I have the DK weight, and they are just really pretty. The colors are just really, really pretty. I have just a few left in fingering weight and a little bit more left in DK weight, but I would like to move those on out to make room for new yarn. So the price has dropped on those things. Price also dropped on the Joy stitch marker necklace. I'm not wearing mine right now, but price has also dropped on that. So if you're interested in getting one, this is like the best price of the year. Go and get one today or tomorrow. Today is Sunday, the 26th, and tomorrow is Monday, the 27th of November, 2023. Go check that out if you want. If you purchase the Advent Knit Along, the pattern set, that comes in a zip file. And the reason is because it is 10 documents. There's a planning page plus 9 patterns. Most of you have no trouble with the zip file. You just download it, and then usually, it depends what device you're using, but if you click on it, your computer knows it's a zip file and it unzips it and gives you those files. But sometimes people can't figure it out, or their device doesn't do that automatically or whatever. Just send me an email and I'd be happy to just email you those patterns if that's easier for you, if you bought them. So if you want to join in the Advent Knit Along, we are knitting a set of 9 Christmas ornaments, and you can do it using scraps if you did not purchase an Advent calendar. We're using DK weight, but you don't have to use DK weight. You could use different weights if it's close, and you can just change the needle size. If you go up in weight, you will have a larger ornament. If you go down in weight, you'll have a smaller one. So that's an option. but that is $18 to join in on that knit along for the 9 patterns and the planning page. But if you get it today or tomorrow, you can get it for 15% off. So there's that. I am super excited that that starts this week. I think it's Advent starts on Thursday. December 1st is Thursday, I think. So I have moved my mini tree to a place where I will be able to hang my ornaments on it, and you guys can see them as we go. Not gonna do them yet because we haven't started yet, but next week I will have one ornament, I believe, just one ornament on there to show you. And it might be my favorite. It's really hard to pick a favorite, but I really, really like this one. This was one that for me, it was a lot of failures before I got it exactly right. And I love how it came out. It just is fabulous. Anyway, hopefully all of those words made sense. Sometimes I just get, spinning around in my head, and I hope it comes out making sense. So that knit along starts this week, but we are also ending the Audrey knit along. Many of you joined in, many of you finished, some of you did not, but that's fine too. The Audrey is a pretty quick knit. It's a worsted weight sweater, pretty much just stockinette, elbow sleeves, not super long, although lots of you did shorten or lengthen the sleeves and shorten or lengthen the body, which is great. You can make it to fit you. That's awesome. So the Audrey knit along has ended, and I have chosen a winner using the random number generator. And that winner is MinnieNet9 on Instagram. Congratulations, Minnie. Your sweater is beautiful. I'll put a picture of it up right here. And send me an email, Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com, if I don't get in touch with you on Instagram because I forgot. So I will get you that gift card, $50 Knitty McPurly gift card. I'll try and send that to you today so that you can get on and get the sale prices too if you want to do that, Minnie. Okay, it has been a crazy busy weekend, you guys. Thank you so much, those of you who patronized my sale. I really appreciated it so much. I was very busy all weekend long, dyeing up yarn, lots of pre-orders. It's been a lot of fun. I am planning on taking a little bit of a break when this sale ends. So that doesn't really mean very much. I mean, I'm not like shutting down the shop or anything. The shop will be open all of December, but I won't be having any special sales or any new products other than December's color of the month. So that will go up this week. I'll probably send out a newsletter about that. And if not, then I will show it to you next week on the podcast. Podcast is my priority. I love the podcast. I feel like it's the thing that means the most to you guys. And then I do Instagram and newsletters as I can. But I'll be taking a little bit of a break in December from those things. 2 of my kids have December birthdays, and it's just a big month. Like, it's a lot that goes on. We've got Advent and we've got Christmas, and a lot goes on. So the shop will be open. You can place your pre-orders. You can order whatever you want, and those will go out normally like they always do. But I won't be doing, newsletters and things like that. I have sweaters in my mind that I would like to design. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about that today in our topic of the week. So that's exciting. One announcement that's big for me. I don't know if you will care at all, but I am not going to be doing a Lent calendar next year. Several reasons. But I just felt a lot of peace in the decision to just not do that this year. I looked, and Lent actually starts on Valentine's Day. February 14th, 2024 is Ash Wednesday. So we're gonna have to do all of our Valentine's Day celebrating early. And I'm going to have a big thing for Valentine's Day, and I've already planned for that, and I've started to work on that, and that's really fun. So the the Lent calendar is kind of a big thing that I typically do in the spring. These are going to be kind of a series of smaller things that I'm going to do for Valentine's Day, and that's going to be really fun. But who can think about that? Because it's not even December yet. Have you finished your Christmas shopping? I almost have, which is nice. Thank you, Internet. The internet makes it so easy. Okay, So that was a lot of that. I have no progress to show you. I don't think I've knit one stitch all week because I was either dyeing yarn or packing orders or printing packing slips or trying to just sit and decompress a little bit this weekend. I really did not get any knitting done, but I hope to coming up in the month. So, all right, here we have Crocheting with Gigi. Hello.
We're back. So we just sit there awkwardly waiting for it to start.
Welcome to Crocheting with Gigi.
I'm back.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
So tell us what you've done.
So I have 2 rows done.
It's so tangled,
It's
isn't
so
it?
tangled, like the movie.
Just like the movie. It's the colors.
It's so perfect. I really wanted it to be like Tangled.
It really is.
I
It
had
looks
another
so
square. Where did it go? Like a loose square.
It's probably
Sorry,
still in
I
your room.
just got up and left
That's
completely.
all right. So Gigi, how has it been going? You've
Great.
gotten a lot done.
I got a lot done. That's what I do with projects. I focus on them completely for like one day and then I drop it for like a week.
Yeah.
And then I pick it up and I'm like, yes. And then I'm like, all right.
Well, Gigi has been working on school projects all weekend, which has been kind of a bummer. It's kind of a bummer, but it's good to get it done.
But that's what teachers do, where they're like, you get daily homework over the week, but then weekends you're working on the big projects. And you're like,
Right.
oh, how kind of you. How just lovely.
This is really cutting into our crocheting time.
It really is.
I
We could be
mean,
making stuff.
We could be making stuff and not learning about the periodic table. And
Though I got some pretty
William
interesting
Henry Harrison.
elements. Not William Henry Harrison. It was Martin Van Buren.
Martin Van Buren, one of those other presidents we don't know anything about.
Yeah, like Zachary Taylor. No one knows anything about that guy. Or like Polk. I don't even know his first name. James.
I think.
That guy.
I'm pretty sure.
I feel like people are going to be like, in the comments,
No.
who are these uncultured?
Uncultured swine.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, it is so good. Okay, Gigi, so
Yes.
are you going to do any more crocheting today?
Today, I probably will.
Okay,
Because I want to get another row done. They're
How many rows are you going to do?
enough that it's like a big blanket. Oh, and I'm also thinking about, so here's the front and it looks awesome.
Oh, right.
But then the back doesn't doesn't look so awesome.
It looks okay.
It looks okay, but then there are like little fringies, like you
Yeah.
can't really see, but like pieces that come out. So I was thinking about putting a backing on it of like fleece. Flannel? What's I think they're the same. We're going with it.
No.
Oh.
I
This
was
is not the
thinking
place to
flannel. No, don't get it wrong.
No, this is not
This group knows the difference between fleece and flannel.
Yep. I need the soft one.
Well, they're both soft, but
Uh-oh.
flannel is usually made of cotton, but sometimes it's a cotton poly blend. It doesn't really matter as long as you pre-shrink it. But I was thinking, just like my grandma's rug that I showed last time, where she had that backing on it, and she whip stitched around the edge, and then she tacked it down all through.
Yeah.
It would be a lot of work to do that, though.
But it's mine, so I'm willing to put the work in.
You're knit worthy.
If it's gonna sit in my room.
You're backing worthy.
I know, because
And
like, there's
not
a blanket
everyone
that I
is.
made for Dad, who's probably watching this again. My blanket, and
I know what she's gonna say.
he appreciates gifts, but it's gonna sit on the couch, and Antoinette's gonna use it, and Charlotte's gonna use it, and they're kind of germy, and a little bit gross.
Gigi found it in the back room, and she was like, "Oh,
This is a backroom blanket.
is this a back room blanket now?"
Like this is.
But it was just because someone was cold in the back room, and they wanted a really good blanket. That's how it happened.
Then it's in the back room, and then it's the back room is where we put all the ugly pillows and the ugly blankets. They're all really comfortable. Like the red couch.
It's a comfortable room.
Super ugly,
Yeah.
but it works.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it
All
will
right.
not be a back room blanket.
No, but if you put a backing on it, that would be a really fun thing to highlight on the podcast and show how you've done it.
Yeah.
Cool.
When I
All
say
right.
I'm putting it back on, really you're going to be putting it back on because I'm going to ask you every 5 minutes, how do I do this? I messed it up.
And I'll be like,
Go away.
No comprendo. I don't speak crochet.
Yeah.
All right.
That should
Okay.
be the thumbnail. I
All
don't
right,
get people to click
knitters.
on it.
You gonna
All
throw it
right.
on me now?
I'm going to throw it on them.
Bye. Woo! That's always so fun. I know you guys love Gigi. I really appreciate how much you appreciate her because she is so, so fun. Okay, topic of the week. This week, I want to talk about mosaic knitting. I have been thinking a lot about mosaic knitting because we talked about that shawl from Moonstruck Knits that I talked about. Was that last week or maybe the week before? It was a mosaic shawl, and I have had an argyle pattern in my head for a little bit. And I thought, I wonder if we can work that with mosaic knitting. So I thought, let's do a deep dive on mosaic knitting and see what we can find out. A lot of this information, I looked at lots of articles, but I really wanted to focus on where it came from, the history of mosaic knitting. And I found that from Knitfarious on the internet. So Knitfarious had a lot of great things to say, and I'm going to be talking about that. Before we get there, I forgot to talk about what I'm wearing. Oh my gosh, this is my Awaken sweater. And I have it on with my cute overalls. So this was my original Awaken sweater, and I did it a little bit, the sleeves are a little bit short. My green one that I knit over the summer has full length sleeves, but I kind of liked this gray and pink one with my overalls today. This yarn is from Tuscan Knits, and I just love the Awaken sweater. It has color work and baubles and lace, and it's just a really fun pattern. And on the bottom, it has these crosses here too. It's a fingering weight sweater too. All right, anyway, back to what we were talking about, the topic of the week. Did you know that Barbara Walker, who is, I didn't bring them up here, but she is the author of like the greatest stitch dictionaries in existence. I have the first two. There's a set of 4 stitch dictionaries that she has done, and the first 2 are amazing. The last 2 have more, larger motifs, and I don't design a lot of large motifs in my work, and so I don't have those, but Barbara Walker is kind of epic. I'm gonna put up a picture right here. This picture, and it says it on there from left to right, Mary Walker Phillips, Elizabeth Zimmerman there in the middle, and Barbara Walker on the end, and you can see that she is wearing a mosaic sweater. Someone is knocking on my door. Why are they doing that? Okay, so here is Barbara Walker wearing a mosaic sweater. She invented mosaic knitting. I did not know that. This was news to me. Barbara G. Walker was a journalist, dedicated researcher, and this is a quote from one of her books, and I'm taking this from Knitfarious. It's Barbara Walker's quote, but she's the one who highlighted it. She said, "Ever since college, it was my habit to take up a new field of study each winter. When the weather was conducive to staying indoors and reading, I would go to the public library and collect any books on my subject, read and take notes. In this way, I went through a number of self-made courses. In my 35th year, I decided to spend that winter learning to knit." Wow. What are we doing? Like, how are we wasting such time that we are not doing this? This woman is my hero. She is amazing. I would love to do that. I just love that. And in her 35th year where she learned how to knit, she wrote some of the most epic stitch dictionaries around. I should have brought them up here, but if I leave, my kids are gonna swarm me. So I'll see if I can put up some pictures. But the reason that I wanted to get into this is because I recently was looking for a book on mosaic knitting, and I found that she wrote the book on mosaic knitting, and I ordered that book, and it's coming today, but it's not here yet. So maybe we'll do a follow-up next week, and I'll show you some excerpts from that book. So if you're going, wait a minute, Devin, what on earth is mosaic knitting? I've never heard of it. I don't know what it is. Maybe I should have started there. So mosaic knitting is color work knitting where you're only holding one color at a time. So stranded color work is where you have to manage multiple colors. I knit continental, so I manage them in my left hand. If you knit English style, then you're managing them in your right hand. Some people use both hands. So if they're using 2 colors, they'll have 1 in each hand. I think that's awesome. I've never been able to manage it, but I've also not tried that hard. So mosaic knitting is where you are doing color work knitting and you are knitting with a color and then just slipping the stitches of the other color As a result, it's very, very easy. If you have knit my faucette sweater, which many of you have multiple faucettes, that is a sweater that uses both stranded and mosaic knitting. And Knit Various says you can use garter stitch, stockinette stitch, or a combination of these when working this technique. Knit Various says, now you may be thinking, what's so original about these things? Slip stitches aren't new, but Barbara Walker was the first one to use slip stitches to create a color work pattern. What a genius. People who come up with this originally, geniuses. So, she says that mosaic knitting traditionally, meaning 60 years ago when Barbara Walker came up with it, used 2 colors of high contrast, total contrasting colors, like opposite each other on the color wheel, like yellow and purple, red and green, blue and orange, right? And then all of the intermediaries in between there. But you don't have to do that. So Knit Various has listed out a list of pros and cons with mosaic knitting. So here are the benefits as she sees them. You can knit it flat or in the round, that's good. You can work with only one color per row or round, which is nice, makes it easy, you don't have to manage it. Requires 2 contrasting colors, but you can work with more. And I would even argue that you don't have to. They don't have to be total contrast colors. They could be complementary colors or some value having, different value, or one is brighter and one is lighter. You don't have to worry about catching your floats. That's right, because there are no floats. Mosaic knitting uses less yarn than other colorwork techniques. That makes sense because you don't have any floats. The fabric that it produces is not as dense as stranded knitting. So, all reasons to try mosaic knitting. In my experience, have not experienced any drawbacks, but she does list a few, and here's what she says. She says, using slipped stitches requires more attention to tension. I think I don't know about that. I think stranded color work also requires attention to tension. I guess it's a drawback of using mosaic color work over not using color work at all, but I think any kind of color work requires you to give attention to the tension of the work. She says you may have to adjust your gauge and needle size to prevent puckering, also true of stranded knitting. She says the pattern cannot have unlimited slipped stitches between work stitches. This is a drawback, especially for the designer. You can't just slip the stitch forever. You're gonna have this really long stitch and that will pucker. So you have to come up with motifs that only slip the stitch one time, maybe 2 times, but I would say 1 time is the best number of times. She says your finished product will require a good blocking to smooth out the stitches. That's true of anything. I think that only one of these is an actual drawback in my humble opinion. All the other things would apply also to stranded knitting. But it is true that you cannot work just any pattern in mosaic knitting, whereas you have a lot more options in stranded knitting. And that's a big reason why I bought the book. Because like I said, I have this argyle pattern in my head, and it's a certain garment that I want to make with an argyle pattern. And I wanted to see if Barbara Walker had any already so that I wasn't reinventing the wheel, that is kind of an argyle pattern that I could work into this design that I've got going on up here right now. So I already worked it out in stranded knitting. And it's fine, I'm happy with it, but I don't want to knit it stranded. I want to try it in mosaic because it's just so great. It's just so easy, and I love that about it. When you design, you want to design for the greatest number of people. I worked on that sweater that I called the Shasta sweater last year, the one with the rainbows, and I love it, but you are holding 4 colors at once. And I have kind of just set it aside for that reason. I love it. And that might propel me on to finish it and get that design going, but it might not. I don't know. I would love to come up with ways around that using mosaic knitting or something else to try to create designs that are just easier to work. Okay, so that's that. I really learned a lot. I learned a lot from that little deep dive. That was super interesting for me. Okay, knitting fantasies. So today we're going to be talking about hats from Rosie Posey Design Co. You know what section I forgot? Comments. I forgot the comments section. I'm sorry about that. Like I say, I have been short on time. I actually even considered not doing the podcast today, but I was like, I have to do the podcast. So if I only left out one section, that is not too bad. Anyway, today I have 2 hats from Rosie. I wrote down Rosie Posey Design Co., but I actually think it's Rosie Posey Knits on Etsy. And this is great. If you love these hats, go check her out on Etsy today or tomorrow because they're on sale. Even when they're full price, they're super reasonable, but on sale is great. They're like 25% off. So they're like $3 or $4. The first one I want to talk about is the Reindeer Romp Beanie. How cute is this? It's adorable. Also, the photography is beautiful. I love how she did this flat lay. Looks great. Now, this hat comes in 5 sizes: baby, toddler, child, adult small, and adult large. So that's kind of amazing. I gotta tell you though, in my experience with kids, from the time they're like 5, they can wear any hat. Like babies have small heads. You need a small hat for a baby. After that, it's kind of one size fits all. You can make different sizes of hats if you want. But like the crown that I made for Charlotte, now Charlotte's 8, but that's an adult size crown and it fits her just fine. Like that crown only came in 2 sizes, baby and then everyone else. One size fits most. So probably, I haven't looked at the details of this pattern, but I'm gonna guess that that adult small will fit most people. And it is a worsted weight hat. I just think it's so cute. I love the reindeer on there, just adorable. She has another one called the Crystal Trellis Beanie. Both of these are very Christmassy, would be really fun for a colorwork gift. If you wanted a gift hat, these would be great for that. Now, the Crystal Trellis Beanie, I love what she did here, where she has a full skein. This is also worsted. And then she said she used, I think, a mini skein but probably at least a 20-gram mini for the color work. Now, I love that this mini skein is not solid. That's really cool. I love that in color work, where you use a color that's not a solid color and you get a lot of variation in there. Looks so good. But the main difference between these hats is that Crystal Trellis only comes in 1 size. But like I say, unless you're knitting for a tiny baby, that's gonna be just fine, in my humble opinion. Okay, I've linked those down below if you want to check them out over on Etsy. And now it is time for So Here's What Happened. All right, today's story comes from Olga. Hi, Olga. Thank you so much for submitting your story. Olga says, for a long while, every time you asked for stories, I thought to myself, I ain't got nothing. But as I was telling a friend at my knit group the story I'm about to tell you, it dawned on me that yes, I have a knitting story. And once you hear the story, you're gonna be like, Olga, how did you think that you didn't have a story when you had this? It's great. I'll just stop right there to say, if you have a knitting story that you would like to contribute to share on the Knitty McPurly podcast, where we keep our oral tradition alive, our knitting community together, please send it to me. Take a video, do a voice recording, or you can type it out and I will read it for you. Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com, Devin with an I would love to share it. I do have a good queue of them right now, so it will be in upcoming weeks. Okay, so Olga says, sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a faithful knit. Fateful knit. A friend of mine decided with her family that they were all going to draw names and exchange handmade gifts several years ago. My friend is not very crafty, but she wanted to do something extra special for the name that she drew, which was her son-in-law. She called me up and asked me if it was hard to knit a pair of socks. Well, when a non-knitter asks a knitter if it's hard to knit a pair of socks and they've never knit anything at all in their entire lives, what in the world do you tell them? On one hand, I didn't want to discourage her from learning to knit, but then again, she wanted to do socks for a Christmas present, and that was going way above her pay grade right now. Suddenly, the thought came to me that maybe she could do a Christmas stocking because it would be big enough that she could use a big circular and she wouldn't have to fiddle with 4 little needles. And also, she could use really chunky yarn and make it big. She liked that idea, so I told her what yarn and needles to get, and we would meet up for coffee, and I would show her how to cast on and how easy it would be just to knit around and around and around. She worked on it for a month, and every now and then she asked me what to do next, and I would go and show her how to do a heel or how to do something else to finish the foot of the stocking. And then finally, the day came. She was ready to reveal her Christmas stocking masterpiece. And here it is. Oh my gosh, hilarious. Oh man, you could fit all the presents in that stocking. My kids would be like, woohoo, I hope that's my stocking. Oh man, Olga, thank you so much for sharing that story. Peripherally, my dad sent me a text about a month or 2 ago, and he says, I want to knit socks for my mom for Christmas. Look, I bought some knitting needles. And I don't know if I still have the picture on my phone. If I do, I'll show you the picture that he sent me. My phone deletes old messages for me. I'm a person who needs that, or else they'll stay there forever, filling up the space. But he sent me a picture of himself holding these 2 long, straight needles that are like size 8 or 9, maybe even bigger. And I had that same feeling, Olga, of what do I do? Because those are not sock needles. I guess you could probably knit socks using those needles if you could find a pattern where you made a pair of socks flat and then seamed them. But who wants to seam up their socks? Front, back, side? You don't want to seam in socks. And so I love what you did, Olga, because this is the greatest. But what I did was say, what about a scarf for mom? And this is not a secret. My dad could not, I don't think, knit these without her knowing about it. So she knows that this is coming. She's seen the yarn and everything. He's using Knitty McPurly yarn. And I asked him if he would contribute to the podcast, so maybe he will. But I said, Dad, make her a scarf. Do a garter stitch scarf, cast on, I can't remember what we said. I think we said 20 stitches, maybe 15 or 20. And then just go back and forth and have a lovely scarf, and it will be a great first knit. Oh, that's just great. That is just awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. Send me a knitting story if you have one. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday filled with knitting and family and all the good stuff. And I will see you here next week with the first ornament. Yay! Bye, knitters.